We shall be speaking to Francis Ben Kaifala, Commissioner of the Anti-Corruption Commission, on the fight against corruption, the successes therein, challenges, and the way forward, including the talks about desire to be flag bearer of the SLPP. Also coming up in the program, we would continue the conversation with flag bearer aspirants of the main opposition, All People's Congress, and in today's edition, we would be talking to Ambassador Omrie Golley. He would be speaking to us on his intention to run for the flag bearer position ahead of 2028 elections, his vision, his take on governance generally, amongst other issues. Now, we'll get started straight into our first conversation in this segment. So in January of 2026, this month, Francis Ben Kaifala, Commissioner of the Anti-Corruption Commission, ACC, characterized the fight against corruption as the anchor of the government's 2026 year of action. He emphasized that for national progress to be achieved, the country must establish robust systems, maintain discipline, and ensure effective corruption control. 25 years of the ACC. This morning, Francis Ben Kaifala, as Commissioner of the Anti-Corruption Commission, will be speaking on the fight against corruption, the successes, challenges, and the way forward. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Very good morning to you, Vivian.
It's been 25 years of the Anti-Corruption Commission in Sierra Leone. You've been the commissioner for about 7, this being the 8th year. Let's talk about the history of the Anti-Corruption Commission itself and the impact it has had, again, going by the necessity that led us as a nation to even have an Anti-Corruption Commission. 25 years down the line, what would you say?
Thank you very much. History is a beautiful thing because it can catalog where we came from and where we are. So the country started on the foundation where anti-corruption rules or laws were more ad hoc. There were no established systems. So from 1960 to about the 1980s, there were more ad hoc commissions of inquiries or limited provisions of law that dealt with corruption. Therefore, corruption was more in the hands of those who governed to decide when to act and when not to act. And then it led to the Civil War. So at the end of the Civil War, around the year 2000, it was found that one of the things that made the country to descend into anarchy, chaos, war, was because of the rampant corruption that existed before. In fact, just to track back a bit, if you go back to the 1960s and early 70s when there were rampant coups, all those coups were justified by corruption. And even in 1992, another coup was justified by corruption. So really, a lot of things were blamed on corruption, and there was this need to change that story. And therefore, the Anti-Corruption Commission was set up in the year 2000, and it started operations in the year 2001. And the idea behind it was to really change the story of the country by establishing a specialized institution responsible for acting on corruption, mainly through the efforts of international community who thought that this had to exist. So between 2001 and now, there have been 6 commissioners. I am the 6th of them. And a lot of things have happened. We have been tracking our efforts in the fight against corruption. We've been tracking the changes that have happened in our campaigns. The rules are now different. The laws are now different. The level of awareness is now different. The degree of accountability in the system is now highly different. And of course, those who are measuring our efforts against corruption are also tracking to say that, yes, more needs to be done, but you are improving year in, year out, and this is good for the country.
You say corruption contributed to the coups we've had before. My curiosity is, how would corruption contribute to such chaos?
Of course, when people feel like the reason why we all have the social contract in a country where they are governed and there is people who are in government is because we want to share our common resources, our commonalities together, okay? If some people feel like a set of people are benefiting and that is not being shared equally or reasonably amongst all of us, so some people are stealing the taxes and enjoying the proceeds by building massive houses, living luxurious lives, and then their own lives are not better, or the country is not improving. There is massive unemployment, and there are other things really which you can gauge whether a country is improving or developing. If those are absent, then of course people tend to want to take the law into their own hands. So that is why I said coup d'etats, if you go back to Justin Smith, in fact, his coup was called the National Anti-Corruption Movement. Okay, so it was designed to say we cannot continue corruption. He himself was removed just a few weeks later, and a new movement came in. So we've had that happening. 1992, of course, then we had started understanding the body politics, and Strasser and others used corruption as a reason why the APC government at that time was taken out of power and they took over. So basically, when there is massive inequality, when there is lack of responsiveness, and there is no discernment of what the progress will be in the near future, people become disillusioned, and that can contribute to anarchy.
So the last war we had was over 2 decades ago.
Correct.
But the picture you just painted, the contribution that corruption made to that chaos, it seems very apt a description for even current day Sierra Leone.
I would disagree with that. I would disagree with that effort. Okay. The times you were talking about, I have said the laws were not even there, the rules were not there, the systems were more ad hoc, and more generally, leadership was not as responsive to the people. Democracy had not evolved to where we are. And most importantly, there was no specialized institution responsible for fighting corruption like we do now. So that itself lays the foundation to say no, it's not as we are. But also the level of impunity that existed at that time.
It seems to be the same level of impunity. Let's delve into the work of the Anti-Corruption Commission now. Not too long ago, a situation emerged with the Audit Service Sierra Leone that led to a whole tribunal, that led to the removal of the Auditor General then and her deputy. But the main issue that led to the whole tribunal seems to have been tossed aside. The issue of the alleged fake receipts in the office of the president. What has the Anti-Corruption Commission done about this? Because if that allegation is true, it not only constitutes corruption, it's also national embarrassment for the country and the office of the president.
So what the Anti-Corruption Commission has done in respect of that is very clear. I have with me a letter that came from that very institution.
The Audit Service?
No. Don't forget, that issue arose when they said the president went and occupied a hotel and the receipt for that hotel was fake. That was the claim in the media, okay? Now, we contacted the institution, and the institution simply said, look.
You mean the hotel?
The hotel in Lebanon.
We just wanted to get clarity on that.
The hotel simply said, look, a president is not an ordinary person. We had a situation where we had housed a president, and people were coming asking questions about him staying here. There's national security issues there. There's healthcare issue there. There's also the need to determine whether certain information should just be given to any random person. Okay? So basically, they said at that time, they did not feel confident to confirm to anybody what these receipts were about.
So
I am now saying that they have confirmed very clearly.
Did you clarify to them that the inquiry was coming from the Anti-Corruption Commission?
No, the inquiry was not coming from the Anti-Corruption Commission.
So how did you receive a letter from them?
I am saying what happened after. At that time, it was not coming.
Now, not the general news that happened. So I'm asking as an institution, what did you do? Because the poorest of nations in the world, which Sierra Leone isn't, the president does not run his own or her own affairs. When you say office of the president, it does not only constitute the president. It constitutes all those people who work within the office of the president.
The presidency, yes.
Exactly. So to say alleged fake receipts doesn't mean it's the president, because again, the poorest of the nations in the world, the president does not run all those affairs. There are other people in that office.
Fabian.
So what did the ACC do to verify those allegations, assertions, whatever choice of words you may want to use this morning on the alleged fake receipts.
So if you had allowed me to complete my thought and narrative on this, you would have gotten the picture. I said, before we came in, at the time the Auditor General engaged with the issue, the hospital said they were not confident enough to get involved with the issue, okay? Because they were not going to start talking about the residency of a president to just anybody who comes and says, we want to know what happened here. Once they found out that a credible institution responsible for fighting corruption asked them, they got back to confirm that indeed, yes, the president stayed with them and that the receipts were normal. Okay? End of the issue. End of the issue. The hotel said, we are fine. At that time, we did not tell them what we wanted to say. But let's talk. We are now speaking from hindsight. The events you are describing happened before we got involved. After we got involved, we have a clear confirmation that indeed the president stayed in the hotel, the receipts issued were valid. What do you want us to do? Arrest somebody in the presidency because of that?
So this is now a bit confusing to grasp, to figure out whose account is factual. Within the same ACC, we've had about 2 or 3 people from the ACC, and we've asked this question. Last response we got was that the ACC had started an investigation into that matter, but the ACC was asked to stand down because, again, the Parliament, the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, suddenly resuscitated, and they are now dealing with the audit reports. And today we hear you, as the Commissioner, giving a different account. Whose account should we go with within the ACC? Because the accounts that you're all given within the ACC on this particular issue are not in alignment.
No. The accounts that we are giving are quite synchronous. They are all saying the same thing. What you are referring to, the involvement of Parliament, is on the General Auditor General's report. On general audit issues where Parliament said the ACC should not get involved with audit issues. But this issue you are talking about is not a general audit issue. It is an issue of immense public interest that was in the public domain for long. Okay? It's an isolated issue that may have involved the Auditor General's office, but does not necessarily mean that it is an audit issue. What Parliament is by law, we have responsibility to look into Auditor General's report, so ACC do not get involved with this. And we are collaborating with them. So sometimes we give them the latitude to see what they do, and sometimes to get involved. But I am now saying, and like I have said, we have confirmed that the receipts that were issued at that time were valid.
When did you get that confirmation?
It's over 2 years ago.
Well, how did you communicate this to the public? Because that was a very big story, and there are still people interested in that story to know how that story played out. How did you communicate this with the public?
How do we communicate to the public? Like I am doing now. We bring it out to the public. We let people know what is happening. We had conversations with stakeholders. We had confirmation with the Auditor General, the Auditor's General's report, which initially flagged the issue. That is why you have not seen this issue recurring in future. Because once an auditor or the audit issue has not been resolved, you will see it in future audits. Did you see this in the last 2 or 3 audits that have come up? You didn't find it there because, like I have said, we have dealt with the issue. And we are satisfied of the outcome. And the explanation given is very lucid. The president's health, the president's accommodation, the president's financial dealings are not things that can be discussed in the public domain like any other issue. These are serious public, serious national security issues that we need to be very careful about.
But there are still people who would hold on to the thought that because, again, you are appointed by President Bio, and this issue is surrounding his presidency, there are people who are sacred cows who are now being protected from embarrassment or prosecution.
That's an assumption, and people have a right to assume, okay? Anybody can assume, but, I mean, I didn't draft the Constitution. I didn't draft our laws. That is how the laws said that the Anti-Corruption Commission...
Has there been a cover-up to protect anyone?
The Anti-Corruption Commission was set up, and it said that the president shall appoint the commission commissioner with the approval
Has
of
there
Parliament.
been a cover-up to protect anyone within the office of the president regarding this alleged fake receipt situation?
There would never be a cover-up, of course, Vivian. Let's not reduce issues to this level of speculations, assumptions, and a lot of banal statements. What do we mean by cover-up? I mean, there cannot be a cover-up in a public interest issue. I have said what I have said. As a journalist, what you can do, probably if you want to confirm this, is to go to the hospital in Lebanon. Maybe they will confirm it to you as well.
Okay, so as you said, public interest issues. There's a doubt at Tagawali on Facebook. Comment on this. The receipt with 2 different currencies and total, and he adds a laughing emoji to this. Dauda is just one person, but perhaps a reflection or representation of others who as well may see this as just a cover-up to protect somebody within the office.
So let's ask Dauda, what he is calling a receipt, was it really a receipt? How did he know where it came from? How did he know that it was, in this day and age of internet and editing and whatsoever can be done, what makes me believe that Dauda is looking at the same thing that I was looking at? We can never tell for sure. My point and position on this is,
remember,
a lot of
it
cynicism.
was posted as well on the Africanist Press on Facebook.
And Africanist Press is the most credible outlet in the world. Africanist Press is led by a discredited journalist who we all know has an ulterior agenda to discredit a government and the president and people around the president. I am speaking from a credible institution that has a responsibility of fighting corruption, and we deal with factual data and information. If anybody wants to challenge that I have said, we are ready to engage with this further. But my position on this, the position of the Anti-Corruption Commission is this: that issue was settled and it is cleared in the Auditor General's report.
So, Commissioner, do you have any proof that the Africanist Press is biased in any way? You've just...
I have not said it is biased. I said it is from a discredited journalist. When a journalist repeatedly posts information that are false, that are baseless, that are unconfirmed, that are based on sources that are derived from sources that are not verifiable, that are derived from sources that are not justifiable, that is what a discredit
so you would discredit their work?
I can confirm.
It's not owned by one man, you know. It's a team of journalists.
Who are the other people? We only know one man behind the Africanist Press. If you know the other people, please describe them to me. I know that
Mr. Ba is the only most visible.
He is the only one. He puts all these names and puts auditors and puts all kinds of names, white men looking names. There's no other person in Africanist Press. It's the work of one man. He was my friend. I know him very well.
The COI recoveries we've made, how much would you say we've been able to recover?
As you speak now, it's over 75 billion euros.
Billion.
Well, old euros. So which would be 75 million new euros.
Do you, in any way, follow these monies?
If we don't follow, how do we get them?
I mean, after you've given them to the president.
Oh, very good question. Well, we return them to the Consolidated Revenue Fund, which is because we are not in a republic of our own. We don't really have an expenditure mandate within the ACC. So we return it to the track that the state has established. And then we believe that whatsoever expenditure that comes from them will be audited by the Auditor General's department. And if there are issues that are right out of it, they will bring it to our attention. But so far, none has come up.
Do you believe that all of these monies you've given to the president have been put into good use?
I believe that the monies that we have given to the state have been directed into good use.
Before now, the president said that some of those proceeds will go into building an ultra-modern hospital in Sierra Leone. Up till now, we've not seen that hospital. Are you concerned in any way?
I would have loved to have an ultra-modern diagnostics facility, because I myself, I'm not as young as I used to be. When I was commissioner, I was 33 years. Today, how old I am? I mean, so as age comes, you want a facility that can treat things that come with age and sometimes with even youth. But when things are outside your domain of work, okay, the best thing you can do is to remind those responsible to do what they have to do. I spoke with the president about this a couple of times, and he told me that the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Finance were working on this. But frankly,
It's been 7 years.
it's not in my role. I do not build hospitals.
That's why I asked
I wish I
about
was in a
whether you
position
track
where I
these
start
monies.
building hospitals.
No, I understand. But that's why I asked whether you track these monies or not. Because, I mean, it's been 7 years.
We follow the money.
Not even the foundation.
The account, in fact, there is a special recovery account
For COI?
which is tied to the Consolidated Revenue Fund where we put money. We track things that are happening there. We ask questions around it. Okay? But you see, there is a Minister of Finance. There is a Financial Secretary. Those are not the roles of Ben Kaifala. Ben Kaifala can only wait and sometimes remind that we made this promise.
Generally, let's look at the fight against corruption. I'm not sure whether you've discussed this with Phoebe, but how would you grade your work? I understand that it will be
Let's have
very
a
difficult.
scale.
From 1 to 10, let's say.
From 1 to 10, let's put me at 8.
8?
Yes.
How would you justify 8?
Results.
Commissioner.
Results. We have some of the most remarkable results in the fight against corruption that we have seen in anywhere in Africa. Okay? We look at asset declaration. Okay? When I became commissioner, asset declaration rate was below 40%. Okay? Most times. The data was not even as coherent, as eligible as everything. We changed the policies, we reformed the policies, we improved, we introduced sanctions for non-compliance. Today, we have a 98% asset declaration rate. Trust me, Jones, nowhere in Africa you can have an asset declaration rate be above 60%. Okay? That is a remarkable data. Okay? Prosecutions. We have spearheaded some of the most interesting data-driven prosecution rates in the world. As I speak to you, for example, in 2025, we have a 100% conviction rate. Just in December, we had 5 cases that judgments were delivered. All of them convictions. People who were convicted. Now, that is data, that is fact. Recoveries. The amount of recoveries that we have done in this period that I have been commissioner of ACC is 6 or 7 times more recoveries that were done by previous commissioners in the 18 years existence of the ACC before I became commissioner. Now, that is data, that is fact, that is science. Now, if we move beyond recoveries, we go to other things like public education. Okay? We have spearheaded some of the most advanced, tenacious, impactful public education regimes across the country. There is nowhere in Sierra Leone that you'll meet somebody who has not heard about the fight against corruption, who does not know what corruption is. And we have recruited the public in that regard. If you go to prevention, which is actually the most important work that we do, that the public does not see because it is not sensationalized, the systems and processes reviews, the National Anti-Corruption Strategy Secretariat, the kinds of work we have done in terms of reviewing ministries, departments of agencies is unbelievable. And this is being done not in isolation. There are people who are coming to judge. Now, I mean, I don't want to go over the MCC control of corruption scorecard because we all know that one.
That's just one data.
Consistently, the fight against corruption has been rated over 70% in the past 7 years, and we are now going to 8 years. Afrobarometer confirms improvements. Transparency International confirms improvements.
I just wanted to quote the very Transparency International you're referring to. In 2024, they rated us 33 out of 100. In fact, that was a very abysmal score.
That was not a rate. That was the base score. Okay? A base score is different from the rate. What TRI does is to give every country scores by how they are improving the fight against corruption. Okay? But did you check where we were before that rate? Before the 33? If you are calling it abysmal, check where we were 5 years before. And you find out that we have had improvement in that very score consistently over a period of 6 years. And our ranking, we have jumped from 130. That is how low we were. We went as far as 108. Okay? We've remarked a little drop back to 110 or 112. I don't remember the exact positioning. But where we are now is far better than generations before me. So, I have just given you data. I've just given you information. You can challenge it if you want. We can debate this for the rest of the day.
No,
I am very equipped. I am very equipped to deal with this because this is
I
the work I do.
I understand.
But one thing I can tell you is the remarkable improvement that we have had in the fight against corruption in Sierra Leone over this period. Nothing compares to it in the history of this country. But if you compare that to Africa, for example, we have now become the mecca of learning for corruption in Africa. How many institutions are coming to us to learn our processes, our systems, our approaches, our devices?
If you ask the common man, perhaps their view will be different.
Say again?
If you ask the common man, their views will be different.
Well, elites usually use the common men to hide their own opinions. But who is the common man? What has the common man
people
said?
who hawk, cigarettes, chewing gum, sweet,
and
go to Abacha Street.
And they have access to the data that I've given you as an elite.
It's about how they regard you as a person, as the head of the commission generally.
How do they regard me?
Now, you see, a lot of cases have been, heard by the ACC. I mean, let's take for instance the case involving the former Director General of the SLBC. A lot of people were very disappointed.
Were they?
Yeah, a lot of them actually.
Well, I am a professional, Jones.
What was the outcome
and as
of
a
that
professional,
SLBC?
as a professional, when I do my job, I put out a report.
And treat us to the nitty-gritties of that case, if you like.
We found out there were administrative lapses, and that is because the place itself was badly run for years and years.
By who?
And there was no system. All director generals that have been at the SLBC,
including the very man,
all directors that have been at SLBC,
including the man who
all
was in charge,
procurement men that have been at SLBC, this place was broken.
Well, including the man that was heading there.
Mr. Jones,
but the man,
I have said all director generals, all is a
But
general
from your
set.
investigations, what did you pick out that perhaps could have been maybe his own attempt to solve the problems? You just spoke so highly of yourself as the 6th commissioner of the ACC.
Correct.
Some of the new things brought on board that is giving us good results.
Correct.
Contrary to what obtained decades ago.
Correct.
Under the leadership of the man who was in office, Joseph Ibenda Kapua Esquire, who was leader then when the investigation occurred. What did the outcome of the investigation say?
The outcome pointed out that he was not running the place the way he should, and that is why the president removed him from there. Okay? It was not isolated. Because, like I have said, our work is interesting. We have a very high threshold for criminal prosecution, beyond all reasonable doubt. But then, between beyond all reasonable doubt and innocent, at the bottom of that ladder, there are things in between. Administrative malfeasance is one of them. Now, a lot of people tell me this, oh, you did nothing. What do you mean by we did nothing? If we are brave enough to recommend to a sole president to say, there are problems here, but we believe that it is not just a problem of failure, there's also a leadership issue here. We think it is within your powers to handle it, and the president acts on it. And you come and say, when I say you, I'm not talking about you now, but you say we did nothing. I mean, there are other institutions where we have done similar things, and they say, but trust me, Fabian, to call somebody a criminal is a high threshold. Somebody can be careless in their leadership. Somebody can be incompetent in his leadership. Somebody may not know what is happening in a department, which is a factor of competence as well. But does that mean then Kaifala should charge that person to say you should go to court and be prosecuted? And we prove your criminality beyond all reasonable doubt. That decision rests on my shoulders. And it is not always that we can.
How difficult was that investigation for you, considering the fact that Joseph Ibenda Kapua as an individual is one of your very close friends?
I'm sure it was difficult, wasn't it?
Now, you see, Sierra Leone is a very small country. And we all have had relationships over the years. I was appointed commissioner at a very young age, and I have formed my own relationships, which I grapple with to date. But one thing I have brought to this role is to understand the call of duty and to do it without fear or favor. I am the kind of man who will send my friend to prison with tears in my eyes. But he will go to prison, and I have done it. I have schoolmates from the grammar school who have had issues at the ACC who have not been spared. I've had schoolmates from college. I've had classmates. I have had people of all ranges, even within the body politics of Sierra Leone today. I know almost everybody who occupies a higher position. But one thing I can assure you, if you even speak to them, they will tell you that Ben Kaifala we know is not a man you can joke with. It's not because I'm a wicked man. It's because I understand what duty is. I am anti-corruption commissioner. Out of 8 million population of Sierra Leone, I was the one chosen within this particular generation to lead the fight against corruption, and I have done so.
I'm happy you talked about that.
It was not done. It was not done by having a faint heart. It was done by having the heart of someone who understands duty and executes it without fear.
Let's talk about Paran's situation.
Yes.
Your team, we had said, though there was no evidence to put a criminal charge to him, but on the moral aspect, they're not convinced that he was not aware that his wife was working at the parliament.
Correct.
Does that resonate with what you remember? Because again, we've had some submissions you've made this morning that do not align with what your team members have said in previous interviews.
The Paran situation is one of the situations that are interesting. And they go back to the earlier explanation I gave about administrative lapses. Okay? And I know the public wants blood. And they usually want blood of people in higher authority. And when the names come up, they raise adrenaline. They become as if those are the most important part of the fight against corruption. I agree. The tigers are as important as the flies. But that was a situation where we had a peculiar case, where a man's wife was recruited in the very institution he works.
As clerk.
As clerk. And he says, I did not do this. I'm not aware. Okay? This was something done between the HR. Maybe they wanted to think, they thought they were pleasing me, but I was not part of it. Now, we said we do not believe that. So the letter, the public information that went to the public is clear. That public release was sanctioned by me. So it's not my team who said so.
What did you recommend
It is
to
the ACC
President
who said
Bill?
so, sanctioned by the commissioner.
What did you recommend to President
We
Bill?
recommend administrative sanctions. We basically said that if this man says that he is not aware, that's okay. We give him the benefit of the doubt because we do not have proof that he was aware. But we do not believe that administratively then he was doing his job the way he should do. Therefore, Mr. President, we are recommending to you to take action against him. 2 months he was suspended by the president. 2 months, in addition to the 1 month that we took to investigate. That's 3 months. Again, I go everywhere and people say you did nothing. No, sir. His wife was barred from holding public office for a minimum of 5 years. This is the highest we have ever imposed on any individual in this country. His wife paid back the full amount of money that was paid to her as her salary monthly. Was paid back. We imposed a tax on it of 10%, and it was paid. Mr. Jones, you've been in Sierra Leone for how long? Where have you seen this happen?
So
Was that impunity?
Francis, let's use...
It was not impunity.
Let's use...
So this Paran issue is you... Please, Phoebe, I just want to use this opportunity to really clarify this Paran issue. Okay? Because one thing, you see, one thing we have done in the Anti-Corruption Commission in the past 8 years is to bring credibility to everything we do. We own up to what we decide. But when they say nothing happened in the Paran case, I feel so sad. And I've seen journalists say this. I've seen elites say this. And I was responding to you and I said that elites use the views of the ordinary man to communicate what they feel, their opinion. Because most times that's not even what the ordinary man feels. Instead of that elite explaining to the public, all these things I've outlined to you as consequences in the Paran case are facts. But are we really saying that? We are not. We are basically saying, oh, ACC did nothing. ACC did nothing and the man's wife has been banned for 5 years. She paid all the money she received plus 10% interest. And he himself was suspended for 3 months.
But he went
Francis,
back.
those two instances...
What is the meaning of suspension?
Francis, those two institutions
Do you think
we've
that
mentioned,
particular punishment was enough?
SLBC and the clerk
I don't know which of
Parliament.
you should I now
Phoebe.
listen to.
No,
Okay, let me listen to Madam
listen
Sweet.
to Phoebe.
Yes.
The two institutions, SLBC, the investigation, and Paran, you came up with findings, and the ultimate decision on their fate was now in the hands of the president.
Correct.
On what to do with them.
Correct.
What we saw was, okay, a few months suspension for the clerk of parliament,
For the
but he went
administrative
back
malfeasance,
to
yes.
his office.
Yes.
And what we saw with the SLBC Director General then, Joseph Ibenda Kapua, he got sort of like a promotion. He went from being DG of SLBC to now being the chair of the Independent Media Commission. That counts as a promotion because the IMC supervises all media institutions. So you go from being Director General of State Broadcaster to now being in charge of media platforms in the country. President Bio, during inauguration, said he was waging 3 wars: indiscipline, corruption. Corruption was one of those 3 wars. He appointed you as commissioner. You do the work, you send him reports. Yet here we are. The SLBC DG got a promotion. Paran, even though you said you could not find the threshold to charge him for criminal liability, but morally you don't believe that he had no idea. Few months suspension, he went back into power. How do you feel about the president's decisions in handling the recommendations you sent to him?
Unfortunately, I don't have feelings.
You don't feel?
I merely play my role.
You don't feel?
I don't have feelings when it comes to duty.
So since you don't have feelings, you surely have a brain to think. What do you think about the president's reaction or handling, especially of those 2 institutions you investigated?
What I
SLBC
understand,
and Paran.
What I understand from pure knowledge of governance is that the president has a lot of powers. And he's the one man who is voted by 100% of the population, given the responsibility to take certain difficult decisions that you and I don't have that authority to take. Okay? I am Commissioner of Anti-Corruption Commission. I understand my domain. That's why I've been there for 8 years. I also understand what is the president's domain, and I don't get involved. I recommend. I go to president. That's why even in that recommend, I could have said, Mr. President, sack him. I did not say, Mr. President, sack him. I said, Mr. President, I think there is something here which we are flagging for you. You decide. If the president takes a decision on that, I don't have feelings about it. And what I know is that the president has exercised what is within his prerogative.
Do those actions tell you that the president is as committed to the fight against corruption as he said during inauguration, waging 3 wars? One of those was war against corruption.
I have only had to serve 1 president as commissioner of ACC. And one thing I know is that president is extremely committed to the fight against corruption. He has stood with,
including promoting someone who, by your investigation, his leadership was not as was to be, which is also why your institution was called upon for investigation. Even after your report, that individual became promoted.
Well, what you call a promotion is what I call a transfer.
It's a promotion. You go from being boss of state broadcaster to now being boss of the institution that all those other media institutions answer to. It's a promotion.
Look, Fabian, you see, even in AYV.
Or are your hands really tied in a way that you cannot have a frank conversation this morning on this issue because, again, the president is your boss?
I'm having a very calm conversation and I'm drinking tea. It tells you how calm I am.
I didn't say calm, I said frank conversation because the president is your boss.
Let me tell you something, and we miss this in Sierra Leone a lot. Even in AYV, there are people who the CEO of AYV may not be happy about. But he may not want to lose them now. He will move them from a news anchor to one desk officer somewhere. He can even sometimes make them deputy director somewhere. It's called kicking up. Okay? That kicking up is administrative. That kicking up is a transfer. It is a promotion in your sense. But I know it is to clear up a space within the news anchorage for other people to bring in new spirit and inject new ideas and probably bring in more integrity. I do not know what was going through the president's mind, but what you call a promotion at SLBC, I call a transfer. And it is a transfer of a gentleman who I know. This issue casts a lot of doubt on him, but otherwise he's a fine gentleman. Issues might be wrong, things might have happened that we are not happy with, or journalists might not be happy with, even those who were working with. Some of them were demonstrating at the time we were investigating. But maybe the president thought that he's a fine gentleman. He has other ways he can contribute to Sierra Leone, and he has gone to the IMC, where he has been for the past 2 to 3 years. I've not heard anything really against him. Maybe that is what was needed. So let's not overbeat this issue. If the president exercised his prerogative following our investigation, and maybe that was a way to fix SLBC. And anyway, you have not asked me what happened after he was moved. Maybe that's what you should ask. And let's now go into the brilliant, beautiful, and amazing things that we have worked with SLBC to introduce SLBC, which has made you not to hear anything wrong with SLBC for the past 3 years. Maybe let's start a conversation with that now.
Before we go there, if you were the president, would you have taken that decision to transfer him to the IMC?
But I'm not the president.
If you were. It's a conditional.
I don't like if conversations.
Why?
Because if conversations, what if is the most useless preposition in the world.
You think so?
Yes.
It constitutes a very strong foundation in English language.
What if a bomb falls on my head right now? What would that change? What if Donald Trump is not president of America right now? Will it change the situation in Greenland? How do we know?
It helps you to rethink it.
What if this tea that I am drinking now is not warm? What will it solve?
Well,
it's not warm.
There's a reason why it's there in the English grammar.
Mr. Jones, what I would like to do is to live in the present. I am Commissioner of Anti-Corruption Commission. In that role, I can do a lot of things.
You see, I asked you earlier about public's perception. And it sits very strongly in issues like this, for example.
Well, who is driving the public perception? It's you people. That is why I am here to engage in mass public education, to clarify the issues very calmly, but clearly. What happened? Because some of them, I sit in my office, I follow the news, and I see the misconceptions. As Commissioner of Anti-Corruption Commission, it's not every day I will be on the news. Sometimes members of my team will be in a particular news conference or in a meeting, and they are making the clarifications, and people still feel to go on with the things as they feel it is. Driving public perception. I am here to massively engage with public perception and to make it clear that things are not as bad as they have been presented. Impunity, which they are saying exists, does not exist as they are making it sound. It's just a degree between guilty of corruption and not guilty of corruption. In between, there are a lot of things that we do that are lost in the communication.
Do you
which
regret
I have clarified.
anything, any decision you've made as commissioner of the ECC?
No, I don't.
Or if you were asked?
No. Every decision I have made, I stand by very firmly. Because it's not a process, it's not usually a one-man's decision. It's a process-driven decision. There is investigation, there is a report, there is prosecution advice, there is an opinion by the prosecutions, there is usually a meeting of management where we discuss these things and agree. There is one-on-one with the people involved sometimes to clarify the facts, to make sure that nothing has been left. Sometimes we return the file for further investigation. So when we come out with a position, I can assure you, Mr. Jones, that position is sacrosanct. That is why I have told you, even the cases which, before, they used to say the ACC cannot even catch a fly. Do you know that whilst I have been the commissioner of ACC, we have lost only 3 cases for 8 years? And we have won over 90% of our cases.
Okay.
Congratulations.
That tells you how strongly our processes internally are before we reach a decision.
When you started, you foraged some teachers who had breached the law. A lot of people frowned at you for that. But the same people would say that, I mean, you don't forage or brandish those who steal huge monies in government, people you investigate every day. Why teachers and not these other, if you like, intelligent thieves?
Maybe they should have left me to continue. Maybe would have, on hindsight now, 7 years later, would have been able to answer that question. But the very first one we did were the teachers who were accused of heinous crimes against the state, against children, poisoning generations to come. And then the country called for my head and the president apologized. And after that apology, we took a decision that, okay, Sierra Leone does not want this. But every day I come in the studio, Sierra Leone is asking me about this for somebody. Why? What do you want me to do? Maybe after we brought the teachers to the cutting tree, you should have let the system rule and see what I can do. I am telling you one thing, Mr. Jones. I did not go to the ACC to play. I went there with a firm conviction and belief that I could use it as a lever to change the story of Sierra Leone for good. I had my own plans.
Okay.
But that plan has to fit in within the plan of the country. And one area where I believe the country checkmate me very strongly was to say, yes, we want you to fight corruption, but our hearts and mind are not yet there. We are not strong in purpose and determination to get rid of corruption as you are.
Okay.
Therefore, follow what we tell you. And I listened.
Now, you see, I'm happy that you've talked about it. Let's talk about you as a person, as an individual. If you were asked to grade you, yourself, from 1 to 10, in terms of honesty, integrity, how much would you score?
Me?
If you were to grade yourself.
From
or
1
you
to
are
10?
an external examiner.
From 1 to
brought
10?
in to grade Francis Ben Kaifala
Oh,
on
99.9.
integrity.
99.9%.
You think so?
Yes.
Do you think everyone would
I
share
leave that
particular
1% for
impression?
what God sees me do.
Do you think everyone would share that particular perception?
And do you think I am going around looking for everyone's validation?
You know, now, I mean, what people think about you as well is very important. Don't you think so?
It is very
As someone
important.
who heads the Anti-Corruption Commission.
It is important, but there is one thing to do what you have to do to shape what people think about you and to leave waiting for their validation in what you do. I am not a validation seeker. I don't live my life for what people think of me. I live my life for people to think what they decide to think.
So how you carry yourself, the people you associate and align with, also does have a contribution in public perception and trust in the fight against corruption.
Correct.
Whether you agree to that or not. What's the difference between the SLBC investigation and the investigation in the office of the First Lady?
What's the difference? As far as we are concerned, we follow the evidence in both.
What was the outcome? What did you investigate the office of the First Lady for, and what was the outcome of the investigation?
There was claim that she was touching public money and she did not have a right to touch it.
What was the outcome of your
The
investigation?
outcome was that throughout the history of Sierra Leone, First Ladies have been playing a very important role in support of their husbands, and money had been given to all of them. They travel on public per diem, they go for medical care on public funds, they carry projects in the name of the state using public funds, allocations from the Ministry of Finance and other sources. And all of them, though there was no statute or law which said that they occupy a particular position like a minister would, like a commissioner would, whatever, we are occupying what we call a conventional position. A conventional position is such a position that we all agree it exists, but we just pretend it does not. And therefore, once we checked and we found out that all presidents, their wives, had been touching public money, then the premise of the claim, we started with the Africanist press, which we have already discussed, was wrong, foundationally. It was foundationally so wrong that the rest of the issues around it crumbled. But that was not the end. We now went beyond this conventional positioning and said, look, let's stop pretending as a country that we do not see First Ladies touching money. And Escroma's wife was running the Wish Project. The Wish Project was using money on behalf of the people of Sierra Leone. It was using money that was allocated. She was traveling to Germany on medical care. Her children occupied positions. They were all benefiting from state resources. let's institutionalize it. So we are now recommending, we say Anti-Corruption Commission are now recommending to use Sierra Leone. Establish a system around the office of the First Lady. Give her a finance person, give her an accountant, give her a procurement person, so that she can account for the money that she's getting. Let's not live in some utopia where we say this is impossible when this is happening in our very eyes. That was the simple recommendation that came from us, that the public and most elites and the media have been going around saying that, oh, I said that the First Lady of Sierra Leone did nothing. No, sir, that is not what I said. I basically used our understanding of the issues based on facts, data, investigation. We even found out that at that point of that investigation, Anes Kromar's wife had received more money than President Bio's wife. Now, what was I going to do? Arrest President Bio's wife and put her in prison, and all the other First Ladies can live ever happily after? Or rather to say, whoa, 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 let's look at this more critically. Let's now make a recommendation. And when we made that recommendation, the Ministry of Finance, we are very happy with it. They worked with us to set up a system, Francis, in the office of the First Lady. So today,
we'll come to that system. I don't believe, Francis, let's not sweep this under the carpet. You were also to check how the money disbursed to the office of the First Lady was spent, whether it was in alignment with its intended purpose or not.
But that's what I'm telling you, we checked. It was in alignment with intended purpose, but the report was that she should not even get the money. Now, Phoebian.
So the system you recommended,
if, for example, they say AYV, you are a news anchor. Let's say you are a news anchor now in AYV. They say your role is merely to come in, the producers give you a script, and you sit down and you read, and you cannot decide how AYV is run. You can't appoint anybody, you can't fire anybody. And we'll find out that the culture in AYV is that news anchors have been firing people. News anchors have been running administrative duties in AYV. And there have been 15 new anchors before you, and all of them did the same thing. Will it be fair for us to now come and say, because you fired one person, you are a criminal? That is what happened here.
This is exactly why I asked you earlier, what's the difference between the SLBC situation and the Office of the First Lady? Because when you were explaining earlier, you said the issues there were not just under Joseph Kapua, but also his predecessors. But you still went ahead with your report under his leadership and focused on him.
No,
and made recommendations on his leadership.
No, madam. No,
that's
madam.
exactly why I asked you. What's the difference between that and First Lady?
No. In fact, that is part of the reasons why we preferred for administrative sanctions to be taken against him, and then we clean up the place. And I can assure you, if you look at the systems and processes review that we have done now at ACC and our recommendations we have done, issues surrounding the board, issues surrounding the accounts, issues surrounding administrative duties and responsibilities. Talk with Madam Josephine, who is now there. She will tell you the kind of cleanup that we have done at SLBC. Now, once we have done that cleanup and we have given these recommendations, we are now sitting waiting for the day when another report will come from SLBC that a Director General is taking money from SLBC funds without following due processes. Trust me, it will be cataclysmic.
The system you introduced
will fall on them so heavily
Office of the First
that you
Lady,
people will be shocked.
Has it started? The system you've put in place for the Office of the First Lady?
Oh yeah, it started 100%. We are now in that phase, and we are asking you journalists to help us now. We are now saying with utmost confidence, working with the Minister of Information, working with the board of SLBC, working with the current Director General, working with the staff and team, we have done a thorough systems and processes review at SLBC. We have done a voluminous report of all the problems that were there, and we have done step-by-step guide and recommendation to them as to what they should do to change that situation. And we have done a validation conference. At the table, all these people have called sat there. We gave them the report, they went home with it, slept on it, reviewed it. The board, I have a text message from the board commending us to say, look, this is what we did. Because even they were doing things that were wrong. For example, they were just giving themselves salary as they feel like. And we said, no, this is not how things should work. First of all, that salary has to be returned. Now, I am telling you this. As journalists, I want you to access this report. If you want it, you can come to the ACC, I'll give it to you. If you notice anything going out of the way, come to us. But the only thing I am now telling you, and this is what happened with the office of First Lady. Once we identify that system is not there, we recommend systems and we implement them.
Do you understand?
We are now sitting down waiting for the day when somebody decides to go against that system.
Do you understand why it would be difficult for the people to trust your investigation process with the Office of the First Lady when you've carried yourself on social media a lot of times saying the First Lady is your sister, she's very close to you?
Fabian, you have been my friend for a very long time. If you occupy a position in government now, you want me to deny you? I have friends. I have people. Sharon Oba, who is the Minister of Information, you know, has been my friend, like a brother. Okay? There are people who were in college together, were eating in the same place and waking up together. One of them is Joseph Ibeda Kapua. It does not stop me from playing my role. In fact, one thing I tell my friends is, do not put me in a position where I have to take a hard decision on you because I will take it against you. Because you should know me better. I have lived my life in a particular way consistently since I was in primary school to today. And that positioning has never changed.
Is it true you want to be president of Sierra Leone? You want to succeed President Bio? You want to be flag bearer of the SLPP?
Those are a lot of things you have put together.
It's all in the same thing, wanting to be president.
We have to unpack them.
Is it true you want to be president of Sierra Leone? You want to succeed President Bio as flag bearer?
Let's start from.
Okay, do you want to become a flag bearer?
Is it true that you want to become president? Who wouldn't want to become president?
Or do you want to?
There are people who are not interested in being president.
That is their problem.
But
okay?
just so you know, there are people who are not interested.
I, Francis Ben Kaifala, have lived my life in a particular way.
Okay.
I went to school taking first position from
Francis,
nursery.
you say you are a dangerously educated man. I don't see how difficult it would be for you to answer the question, do you want to be president or not?
Do you want the answer?
Do you want to be president?
Do you want the answer?
Yes or no?
So let me lay the premise. I went to school.
We know you went to school, but do you want to be president?
Taking first position from nursery to law school. Okay? And finished law school as top of my class. I became a lawyer and lived my life as a diligent lawyer for so many years.
You say you are a dangerously educated man.
Because of my diligence.
Do you want to be president
because
or not?
of my diligence, I was appointed anti-corruption commissioner.
I ask you this intentionally because, Francis, this
In
morning,
that role as anti-corruption
when you
commissioner,
came to the studio and we had
I have diligently carried
about
myself.
what this conversation would be, when I said we would also look at your bid to be president, you asked me, did I ever say that? So for the sake of clarity, do you want to be president of Sierra Leone? Yes or no? It would be a very easy response for a dangerously educated man.
Do you want me to continue?
Well, you can elect to say yes or no. It's a very simple question, Mr. Commissioner.
Sitting down here now as commissioner for 8 years, I have seen the problems of this country.
We know that, and that is not the question I asked.
I have seen the levers.
As dangerously educated as you are, this should not be rocket science for you.
The rot that exists.
Are you intentionally deviating from that question?
It almost sounds like a campaign. Are you campaigning?
What I am now telling
yes
you,
or no.
Are you going to allow me to speak?
We will, but we have time constraints and we have other things to do.
But we have time to spend a lot of time on Joseph Ibeda Kapua, and now you're asking one of the most important questions that I cannot
That requires a simple yes or no, and that you could follow up to justify.
Yeah.
But as dangerously educated as you are, this is becoming sort of like a bone you can't seem to swallow easily.
So,
do you want to be president of Sierra Leone? Because you asked me this morning, where did that information come from
the first question.
You want to be president?
Do you want to be president of Sierra Leone? I've asked you, who would want to be president of Sierra Leone?
There are people who don't want to be. Do you want to, yes or no?
I am an ambitious man.
So you aspire to be president?
I have lived my life in a particular way, leading in a particular direction, and that has to be up. Okay? But the decision of becoming president is not a decision that you just take at random.
Okay.
It involves a lot of factors, a lot of people,
do you want to be president?
A lot of consideration. When I was a child, when people ask me, what do you want to become? I would always say, I want to be like Joseph Saidu Momo.
Okay.
And Joseph Saidu Momo was who? He was president of Sierra Leone. Has that changed? No.
So when do you think you'd like to be president of Sierra Leone?
Today, I am anti-corruption commissioner and I am focused on that role.
Okay.
Okay?
Would you be joining
What comes
the race
after?
for flag bearer?
What comes
2028
after?
in the
What
SLPP?
comes after is going to be determined by a lot of factors, including what the current dispensation thinks about access to power after it, also based on my own personal circumstances and decision making. But yes, has my position changed since I was a child that I want to be like Joseph Saidu Momo? No, I want to be
When
president
do you
of Sierra
think you
Leone.
would aspire for that? Would you be joining the 2028 flag bearer race?
If you have been following, the president of Sierra Leone has said that he wants young people to replace
We
him.
know what the president said.
People-
What I'm asking is you, would you join the race 2028 for 2028
It is
elections
not
within the
a
SLPP?
race to join. This is the thing I'm trying to clarify.
But you begin that race by the intention to say, I am putting myself up for this. That's where it starts.
Phoebia, one thing that does not happen to me is I say what I am convinced to say. And if you want me to answer this question, I will eventually answer it, but I have to lay a premise. Okay? So if you give me just 1 minute to lay that premise, trust me, at the completion
fine.
of that
1
1
minute
minute,
is 60
you'll get
seconds.
your answer. 60 seconds is a lot of time, but it's a short time
You
to
can
answer
get
this.
started now.
Oh, thank you. President Julius Maada Bio has said that he wants a young, vibrant person who has received training in leadership to lead the country after him. And he is not making an aspirant. He is making a president. That is a bold statement coming from a president. Now, I am a young man. I tick every box of that conversation that he's making. So, whilst I am focusing on my role as anti-corruption commissioner, and trust me, that will never be compromised, I am ready to put myself forward to him for that consideration. Why? Because all of us have a vested interest in changing the story of this country for good. So if he's looking for a young man, a man who has trained in leadership, somebody with impeccable character, somebody with the right worldview, somebody with the right background,
You said impeccable.
somebody with the right education,
You said impeccable
and most
character.
importantly, somebody with the right character, a lion heart.
Commissioner,
Who do you think that person will be? It will be Ben
You think it will
Kaifala.
be you?
Me?
In the whole party, you think it will be you with that impeccable character?
Why do you people love speaking about party? Let's speak about Sierra Leone.
No, there are internal requirements as well within the party.
You can't be
And
flag
we-
bearer of SLPP if you're not a member of the
And we
SLPP.
recently
The president
heard
said
from
he is
one of
making a
we
president.
heard from one of the most
Phoebian.
senior man.
When a man says I am making a president, he's not talking about just a political party. It's beyond it.
He thinks all of you are not even eligible to become flag bearers of the party.
So do you want my response to Banja Tijansi as a dangerously educated lawyer, or do you want me to speak
You can
on
respond.
corruption?
You can respond. That is a very senior man within your party, though.
No, listen. And that's why I'm asking you. I'm a lawyer. Okay? I watched Banja Tijansi speak. Okay? So do you want my answer as a lawyer?
Yes.
The choice
Because
is
I'm ready
yours.
to give it to you. First of all, Banja Tijansi is wrong.
He's wrong.
Yes.
Okay.
You see, being a lawyer has two aspects to it.
Okay.
Knowing the letter of the law and knowing the practical aspects of being a lawyer. And one of the things to a conversation of that nature requires, first of all, knowing what the black letter of the law says. And that is very clear. It says you must have been in a particular position, you must have this, it lists them out.
Okay.
But it's at the bottom, it says such other people as who? It names a set of people who could invite them, not so? Now, where Banja Tijansi is wrong is the second part of being a lawyer, due diligence.
Okay.
A lawyer who speaks without due diligence is making a fundamental mistake of law. Because that room that was given at the bottom of that list of people who could become eligible is an opening. And that opening can only be determined if there was due diligence. So, for example, I listened to all that conversation. Did he at any time say, I have checked the register of people who are now wanting to be aspirants and that they are not eligible? He merely said, oh, this is the list, and therefore, if you are not in that list, you cannot be. And again, another part of being problematic of a lawyer is when you believe your ideas and beliefs are sacrosanct. He said, as far as I know. Okay, as far as you know, we understand that. But then, did you check the register? Did you do your due diligence? Did you check a register of paid-off members of the particular institution to know whether they are or they are not? One thing I can tell you is that I know for 100% sure that he's wrong.
Okay.
There are people outside of that list who 100% qualify, and that determination cannot be done by the black letter of the law, but it is done by due diligence, which I know he did not do when he made that pronouncement.
Do you deem yourself as the most competent person among the young people within the party to lead?
You see, we keep jumbling up the issue.
How?
I have told you that the president is looking. The president has said he wants to make a president.
Okay.
And if the president wants to make a president, I am putting myself forward. But you keep talking about
How
party
long have you been
and all
a
these
member
things.
of the SLPP?
What?
How long have you been a member of the SLPP, the Sierra Leone People's Party?
Did we talk about membership of a party here?
I just asked the question.
No, but you asked a question that does not have a foundation. We have not spoken about the membership of a party.
But it's very important.
I am a Sierra Leonean, I have
Talks
told you.
about your eligibility
How
as
long
well
have you been
to
a
run for
member
flag
of the
bearer.
SLPP?
What?
How long?
Your eligibility to run as flag bearer.
Nobody has spoken about eligibility to run about flag bearer, my brother.
Francis.
The president said he wants to make a president of Sierra Leone.
Francis.
It is that conversation we are
How
having.
long have you been a member of the SLPP?
How long have I been a member of the SLPP?
SLPP, the Sierra Leone People's
Why do you
Party.
want to bring this conversation to party level? Let's talk about Sierra Leone. I am anti-corruption commissioner. I speak on Sierra Leone. I don't speak about party affairs. Why would you ask me how long I've been a member of APC?
But you're not a member of the
How long have you asked me how long I've been a member of these other parties that have existed?
Francis.
Why are you zooming on SLPP?
Commissioner, our job is simple. Ours is to ask the questions. How you choose to respond, that's entirely on you and the people who would have to run with your answer.
So I've told you I choose to respond by saying, let's talk about Sierra Leone.
Okay.
So ask me how long I've been a citizen of Sierra Leone, I will give you an
How
answer.
long have you been a member of the SLPP?
I'm not talking about SLPP.
Are you a member of the SLPP?
What?
Are you a member of the SLPP?
I am a citizen of Sierra Leone, that's what I know.
What's the difference between Francis Ben Kaifala of Renaissance Movement and the Francis Ben Kaifala seated in the studio this morning?
It's the same man. A man who has championed the cause of the people of Sierra Leone from young age. A man who has been a warrior true and true at heart in mind. A man who lives in synchronicity with himself. Okay? The man who was speaking in those days about fuel prices, making videos about them, and a man who is now leading the fight against corruption to change the story of the people of Sierra Leone. It's the same man.
In all honesty, what has changed about that Francis and this Francis that sits here today?
The only thing that has changed is age. I am not as young as I used to be, but I am the same man at heart, at soul, at body, and at spirit.
From my end, lastly, as we round off, let's talk about what happened in Kenema with the Sierra Leone Bar Association. That incident, for some of the posts and comments on some of the posts on that issue, there are a lot of people who feel quite disappointed about the way you carried yourself during the Sierra Leone Bar Association elections. For some, they feel they've lost some amount of trust or respect for you as that person they saw with integrity.
Oh, where are they? Are they in the studio now? Because I would like to ask them simple questions. What is the basis of that positioning?
Well,
You are here this morning. Tell your
videos
side of the
online.
story on that incident in Kenema.
Do we have time?
We saw some of the videos.
Well, we
you
have
were
some time.
distributing ballot papers to people. You had a list you did not go by. You were just distributing to some people and not giving others. Some would get from you, some wouldn't get. Explain yourself. What happened in Kenya?
I hope you would not say...
Because again, this comes back to your integrity and people trusting you as an individual.
Mainly identified by his bands.
As much as you would trivialize
on the video we saw, I mean, it was all over social media, Mr. Commissioner.
I hope you will not say you don't have time.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
We would be doing you a disservice if we let this interview end without letting you tell your side of that story.
Okay, let me tell my side of the story. I am 100% member of the Sierra Leone Bar Association. 18 years called to the bar since 2007. I was voted unanimously to be the returning officer of that election because one thing people respect me for, including those at the bar, is my strong character and my integrity. So those who voted me knew and believed that the only person who can conduct this high-tension election in Kenema is Mr. Ben Kaifala, and we 100 vote him. And they did. Now, once I was voted, I sat on the podium to carry out the election. The process was violently attacked by a faction that now entered the hall and said that the elections must not go on. Now, let me just backtrack. Before that, there was a list of all paid-up members of the bar who were eligible to conduct, to be part of that election. That list was pasted, was in all directions in the hall, at the entrances to the hall, and I had a copy. I called a lady called Mariam Anta to call out the names of those who should vote, and when she does, she can give out ballot papers to them. I called Mr. Banja Tijansi to sit with me to conduct the election, and both of them came on the high table. Mariam was calling the names, and the people were supposed to simply walk up, we give them the ballot paper, and they will walk to the back of a particular room and vote. Now, it was at that stage that the process was attacked by people who believe it is either their position or decision or not. They violently attacked the process. They broke the table that we are sitting on. They threw ballot papers on the floor everywhere. Now, the reason why you did not see videos of that initial attack, it is because the videos you are now seeing are from the people who violently attacked the process. They are the ones, after doing what they had done, who now took out their phones. Oh, Mr. Kaifala, shame on you, you're doing this. I had a mandate from over 500 members of the bar to conduct an election. And therefore, when they attacked that process, I simply improvised and said, okay, the good thing about this is a closed session. A closed session means no other person who is not authorized can enter. So apart from the security who were there to guide the process and the lawyers themselves, there was no other person in the hall. So I said, no problem. So since we are all paid up members and we are all lawyers and we all know ourselves, let's form a line. You form a line, we give you your paper, you go and vote and you go home. So it is that process you saw. But the very miscreants.
You call them miscreants?
Yes.
Your colleagues?
The ones who attacked the process are the miscreants. I'm not saying all my colleagues are miscreants, but the ones who came, took ballot boxes, threw them away. The good thing that happened again in that process is, at that time when they were throwing ballot boxes, it was for positions like PRO, treasurer, and all these people. The one for the president of the bar I had secured and given to my bodyguard to hold. And the bodyguard held them. So after they did what they had to do, the elections went on as normal. But because they came in with a very powerful positioning that this election cannot happen, and they met a very determined Francis Ben Kaifala, who knew what duty is, who knew what mandate is, and my mandate was be the returning officer of that election, and I decided to go on with it. They now took out their phones and they were pressing, Ben Kaifala is doing this, Ben Kaifala is doing this. But then, Mr. Jones.
Oh, couldn't you have extricated yourself from
Mr. Jones.
Well, you were seen dancing with one of the
Mr. Jones,
the election.
Mr. Jones. Do you have a video that you have seen that did not already have ballot papers on the floor? You will not find it. You know why? Even if they have it, they will not put it out.
But you were dancing.
But
with one
I
of the
was
aspirants.
upstage doing my role, so I don't have the video.
You were dancing with one of the aspirants.
I was dancing with one of the aspirants the night before the election. I was at a party organized by the Bar Association, by the president of the bar. All of us were invited there.
But given that you know you are the chief electoral
I
officer,
didn't know. This is the part
you
that...
didn't know?
No.
Well,
Mr. Jones.
Why not dance? You could have danced
Mr.
with
Jones.
both of the
Mr.
candidates.
Jones. Mr. Jones.
But you
Mr.
could have,
Jones.
You could have danced with both of the candidates.
Mr. Jones.
Just to be even. Don't you
Mr.
think
Jones.
so?
Mr. Jones. Let me give you the process of selecting electoral commissioners of the bar. They don't happen the day before.
Okay.
They happen in the hall, moments before the election. When I danced with Madam Tuma Jabi before the elections, it was a party for the bar.
You know, that thing.
And I was dancing with members of the bar.
You know,
she was just one of them.
Lastly, for me.
And I did not know that I was going to be returning officer.
You didn't know? Okay.
No. The next day, we now went into the hall.
To say no, I would
you
not
could have
accept.
chosen.
Why I should say no because I danced with
No,
the
but you
with
had a
the
choice, right?
Oh,
You had a choice to say yes or no to becoming the returning officer.
why not? Why would there not be a choice? But should I say because I danced with one of the aspirants? What about the other people that I danced with that day? I danced with a lot of women that night.
In total,
At that time, I wasn't married.
It was a very messy affair, Mr. Commissioner, if you ask me. I mean, I'll quote you someone, a very respected man in this country. Lamgana Ba said, "The standard of the legal profession was lowered with such a chaos and rancor in Kedema during the bar. I am not sure even if its members are proud of what's in public, shameful and disgraceful for the custodians of our law."
Because Lamgana Ba did not have the information that I've just given you now.
You don't.
Maybe even you did not even know that the appointing of the returning officer happens just in the morning before the election.
It was explained.
Do you or do you not deem that particular scenario, that spectacle, the entirety of that particular election as a shame?
A shame to who? The ones who violently
Lawyers.
attacked the process?
To lawyers, all of you should be
A
ashamed.
lawyer who attacks. Listen, this is a country.
you're a lawyer.
This is a country
Mr.
of laws.
Commissioner,
Okay,
don't you think so?
And this is how we have lowered the bar in many places. If people think that they can violently attack a process to get what they want, and that what they really wanted was to cancel the elections and no elections happen, and that would have made them happy. And that is how we have made people think that violence prevails. Okay?
You don't think that would affect your bidding to become president in any way?
Have I launched a bid
Do
to
you think
become
that
president?
has tainted your character? As
No,
a
it has
man?
not. In
Whether
fact-
it's 2028 or not, but you
In
have.
fact,
You just said you would want to be president.
In
Yes.
fact, it has strengthened.
That
my
particular
character.
affair?
Yes.
Maybe that's an irony.
How is
If
it
you
an
ask
irony?
me. It's the opposite.
For a man who stands up for his people, the ones who voted him to be
Many
returning
will point
officer,
finger at
for a man
has actually
a man who stayed in the hall when tear gas was fired and everybody ran out, even the security officers ran
then
out,
someone would
and he
say-
stayed and absorbed the tear gas and still went on with the election.
Someone would
And you
say-
think that is a bad
someone
character?
would say you are responsible for the fracture of the bar association
No,
today.
the fracture of the bar association started a long time ago.
And
if
that
you want
long
us to go
time
into
ago,
that, we go into
Francis,
it.
let's
What do
go
you
to
think
that
contributed to
history,
that?
which has, there's a narrative on that history that election was about the SLPP and the APC usual drama that comes up for associations and organizations. And what they had then, the now wife of Keketoma Sandy, who was then president, worked with all of you to get Toma Jabi now in office, whether to win the election or to rig the election. That's the narrative that was put out.
It's a question of where the narrative is coming from.
But with all the actions that played out that day, do you see why some people would believe that narrative?
Some people can believe a lot of things. Even if we conduct election of us, just us here now, there's a room for somebody else to think that they don't believe the
The current
credibility of the
president
election.
you had then was, well, she's now the wife of Keketoma Sandy, who works with the president at State House.
Correct.
And then the elections, Toma Jabi was here. She said that, yes, she's got a history with the SLPP, and she's not hiding that. Fast forward to the elections. Yeah, we had her in our studio. She said that. Fast forward to the elections. There was you serving as anti-corruption commissioner, who's also a member of the SLPP, and you were all there. And before the elections, there was a video of you dancing together with Toma. And what went on in Kenema went on, and after the elections, we even saw Toma and First Lady as well dancing to the victory. Again, when you put all these pieces together, how do you convince people this was not a deliberate attempt to just get the Bar Association under the leadership that suits the SLPP more?
Phoebe, I don't delve into politics. And one of the things I have not done here is to delve into politics. I rather
this is the politics of the Bar Association.
I rather stick to my profession as a lawyer or to stick to my occupation as anti-corruption commissioner. Okay? Now, I went to that place as a lawyer. I understand the call of duty deeply, and my duty was to conduct an election. And that was to defend the ballot and the people who voted unanimously that the election must go on. And that is what I did. Whatever happened before it, whether Tuma is SLPP or not, whether she danced with First Lady, whether some people are now unhappy because of it, I am also unhappy with them. I am unhappy.
With who? Unhappy with who?
Do you know that those people broke the leg of one of my security, and I had to personally pay thousands of dollars for his surgery, not even the state? They broke his leg. His name is Ambrose Kiley. They broke his leg. He was hospitalized for 3 months. And he spent another 6 months at home, recovering.
That's unfortunate.
So you see, you don't have all the picture. I am very proud of what I did that day to defend the Bar Association from miscreants, and I stand by it.
Do you think that election was free, fair, and credible? The Bar Association election we're talking about. Do you think it was free, fair, and credible?
I think it was credible.
Free, fair, and credible.
I think it was credible.
You don't think it was free and fair?
How can it be free when people are attacking us left, right, and center? How can it be free when tear gas was thrown into the hall? How can it be free when people were being insulted everywhere?
Right.
But what I can tell you that it was credible, because we followed processes and procedures that led to the outcome.
Francis, as we round off this interview, today's edition of the program, quite a lot has happened in Sierra Leone from the Francis Ben Kaifala that people used to know. Some perhaps love, trust, and respect on the Renaissance movement, to the Francis Ben Kaifala that is here 7 to 8 years in office as anti-corruption commissioner. The Francis who does have intention to be president of Sierra Leone somewhere someday. What would you say to those people who now feel a bit disappointed at how you've carried yourself from the Renaissance movement to now? What would you say to redeem your reputation, integrity, so to speak, to those people who, to them, you've lost it all to them?
You see, framing is very important, and the way you frame the last part of your question, to redeem, means I have lost.
It's because you're not reading the comment section as we're reading. If you were seeing the questions,
look,
the comments
Phoebe-Ann,
on the
Phoebe-Ann,
comment section,
Phoebe-Ann,
you would understand that what we're saying here are not
Phoebe-Ann,
our assumptions.
Phoebe-Ann, let's not sensationalize things, okay? Let's not be sensational, okay? This is a Francis Ben Kaifala that has grown out of years of experience.
For example, Peter Baibangua says, this will not trust them again. We could read out some of those messages for you so you understand.
Phoebe-Ann,
it is not our assumption.
Phoebe-Ann, this is a Francis Ben Kaifala that has grown in leadership, grown in courage, grown in strength, and also in the process amassed a lot of experience that guide what I do today. Okay? And that is not looking for validation. I am not looking, and I'm not doing what I do because Mr. Bai, whosoever you've called, has to be pleased. I am doing it because I'm a leader. Okay? Everything I have done down the years, I stand by. And I'm ready to do more. The only thing I can assure you and all the viewers and listeners is that I, Francis, believes deeply in Sierra Leone, believes strongly that Sierra Leone will continue to change, and believes evermore that I will remain part of the story of changing Sierra Leone for good. Therefore, whatsoever the future holds for me is fine.
Right.
If that means that I will be president, why not? That is my position.
Thank you very much indeed, the country's commissioner. We'd hope to get you perhaps subsequently when your ambitions would have become, more visible. For now, I think you are still hibernating, you are hiding.
No, I want to give room to a man who has a clear ambition.
Okay.
My brother Omrie Golley.
Right.
And I welcome him to come and take this place and speak about it. But in the meantime, thank you very much. You guys are amazing interviewers. This has been an amazing conversation. And let's carry on the conversation on things that I have said. Any clarification you need, please don't hesitate to contact the ACC. But you can also check our website, www.anticorruption.gov.sl. Right. We have a lot of information there on the work we do, and of course we have an information desk at the ACC where you can go. There are also ways to contact the ACC on 9515 on all major mobile companies in Sierra Leone. But thank you, Sierra Leone. Thank you, President Dio, for keeping me in office. Thank you to all of you, the journalists who have continued the effort against corruption, and I wish you fruitful conversation as we continue the conversation this morning. Thank you very much.
I wish you well too, Commissioner. Thank you so much.
We'll take a quick break and we would be right back. We'd just like to apologize to all our viewers this morning. We would slightly overrun the program because we would now move on.
2028 general elections. We have so far interviewed lawyer Usman Timbo, lawyer Adi Makoli, Dr. Kelfala Mara, Bai Mahmoud, Bangura, Al Hassan Bese, Kanu, Dr. Victor A.B. Davis, Dr. Sufyan Kaloko, and Joseph J. Kamara on their plans to run for the flag bearer position of the APC party. So this morning, we have Ambassador Omrie Golley, a prominent Sierra Leonean lawyer, diplomat, and politician. And he has a long history of involvement in Sierra Leone's peace processes and international diplomacy. Ambassador Golley is here to talk about his intentions to rule Sierra Leone. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Yes.
It's a pleasure having you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Briefly, for those who do not know you, your background, perhaps in a minute, give them a flash. Who is Ambassador Omrie Golley?
Omrie Golley is a Sierra Leonean, and a lawyer, a diplomat, former ambassador of Sierra Leone to the Republic of Korea, and farmer, and somebody who has been involved in the, as you say, the peace process, and as well as that, somebody who has been involved in the political processes in recent times.
A lot of you have come forward within the rank and file of the APC. These are fine, people, including your very self. I would ask you this: do you consider yourself the fittest or least fittest person in the party?
Well, you said something that was very trite. First and foremost, it's important to understand that I respect all the current aspirants for the leadership of the party. I consider myself to be worthy, and it's for the people to decide ultimately at the National Delegates Conference who they prefer amongst all of us who are actually competing for that position at this time.
For someone who is attuned with the history of Sierra Leone, they would always tie you to the RAF. You would serve as a communications person.
Yes.
But the people who, one would say, partly destroyed our nation, killed a lot of, our compatriots.
I would say...
Why, come now to become the head of state for a country which perhaps one would say you partly destroyed? You are responsible for where we are today as a country.
I think it's fair to put all of this into proper context.
Okay.
I think that the journals of history would position me as one of the people who brought peace to this country. International best practice sometimes makes it very important, particularly when you're dealing with a situation that we were dealing with in those days, to have someone who could actually go to bring rebel groups into the political process. while I was coming here, I was actually doing some research on countries like Burundi, like Angola, like Mozambique, like the Democratic Republic of Congo, like Liberia, where rebel groups have actually been contacted by international agencies for people to come in to bring them from the bush onto the negotiating table and to foster peace. I was asked by international agencies responsible for peace in those days to come to help my country to bring the groups involved in with the fighting in my country, to bring them out of the bush onto the negotiating table as someone that they recognized was interested in peace and development in our country. I took that role at the time to become their legal advisor, being a lawyer, and to advocate their position with a view to bringing them into the political processes, the political and democratic processes. This is what I did. I believe I did it very effectively, and I believe that this was one of the reasons why we ultimately got peace. So I was an interlocutor. I was recognized as such by the international community. I was asked by the European, the Economic Commission of West African States, and supported by them, as well as other international agencies, the United Nations, other bodies, to assist in the process. From then until the time that we were able to craft the agreements that brought peace. Because of my association with the rebel movement, of course, this has been spun by people who...
You think so?
Yes, I do. But there are hundreds of journals out there that actually specifically put me in the center of the process that actually brought peace to my country, to our country. I'm looking at, I was actually reading, just as I was coming again, an article by Solomon Berrower in one of the British newspapers in those days. I think it was 2000, where he was commending me for my role in bringing peace to my country, and hundreds of other people have done that. The association, going to them to advocate for peace, to bring them as a rebel group, as a lawyer, to negotiate with the government, has been spun by certain people to the extent that I was involved with them in killing and all that sort of thing. I came to them as a lawyer, and I came to them as somebody who was deeply committed to peace and development in my country, as I still do today. And this is a role I continue to play.
You said you're a farmer as well. You
Yes.
farm.
Yes.
Why not concentrate on farming? Academia also.
I want to.
Why politics?
I
Why
want
must
to
you
better
become
the
head
life.
of state?
Yes, I want to better the life of my people.
You think all of the others cannot do that?
Oh, I think that probably I can do it better, and this is why I'm in the position that I'm in. I'm a politician. I want to help my people. I want to raise the living standards of my people. I want access to good health, to good roads.
You can still do that. You're a citizen.
Yes, I can still do that, but it's
You
better.
do not necessarily need to become a president to do good.
You do not necessarily, and I believe that I have been doing good without being president or even being in public office. I have been involved in many projects in agriculture, in working with various governments, even in a private capacity, to help our country. So it's already been done. It's already out there.
Ambassador Omrie Golley, over the last maybe decade or two, where have you lived?
I've been in between Sierra Leone, the United Kingdom, and Croatia.
How much time have you spent in Sierra Leone, say, on the longest stay? Over the last maybe 10 years?
A year, setting up my agriculture bases to help our people grow more crops with the agricultural centers that I was setting up during that time.
Okay, very recently, Vicky Remo posted on social media that this time around, the president that Sierra Leone would need should not be someone from the diaspora, but someone who has really lived in Sierra Leone, understanding the issues in Sierra Leone.
Well, she would say that. I wouldn't necessarily agree with her.
She could just be a representation of others. Obviously, she cannot be the only person who thinks like that. But she could be a representation of people who think like that. That at this point, Sierra Leone does not need a leader who has spent over a decade living out of the country, but coming back home now to want to be president.
Well, I'm not sure whether you're referring to me when you talk about a decade, madam, but I can assure you that I haven't been living out of the country for a decade.
I just asked you a few minutes ago before getting to this point, where have you lived over the last decade or two?
Yes, ma'am.
And I asked you your longest stay in Sierra Leone, you said a year. So
yes.
That's where we started,
yes.
Before getting here.
Yes, a year in the sense of being here for a year, but I come in and go out very frequently out of my country. I also spoke about just one of the many things I've been doing to move, the development process of our country forward.
Say you fast forward, get to that point where the APC itself gives you the ticket to become flag bearer, and say you become fortunate to get the privilege of being president of Sierra Leone, because again, becoming president of Sierra Leone is a privilege for anyone who becomes president, to be chosen by your people. What would be the first few things you would do for the nation?
I would first and foremost unify our nation. Our nation is fragmented at the moment. We have divisions in various sectors of our society, between the North and the South, for example. We have to be truthful about these things, and we want to, first of all, promote active policies that would bring about unity in our country. We have to encourage that, and I would be working feverishly to start that process.
If you were the president during this time of Sierra Leone's history and journey, what would you have done differently than what President Bio is doing?
First and foremost, I would have worked to bring peace and harmony to our country. I would have, again, worked very hard to unify our country. I would adopt policies that would enhance our economic base, to bring support and succor to our people, particularly the young people of our country today who are suffering. And I would do a lot to enhance peace, stability, and to unify our country.
Those are many things.
Yes, I know.
Say, easier said than done. You've just said them. You haven't said how you were going to do them.
First and foremost, I think that the most important thing at the moment is unification. And some of these tribal issues that we have to address. We have to be sure, or to make sure, that our people feel one. There should be one, a oneness.
How would you do that?
I would be promoting policies that would enhance that. I would, for example, be talking about the situation where we should start gradually moving, for example, to the situation in Rwanda, where we are talking about being Sierra Leoneans, and actively encouraging that process, rather than actually talking about this tribe or that tribe. That is one thing that I would promote, I would start to promote as a nation, because our nation is very fragmented at the moment amongst various lines, one of which is this North-South divide, which I'm not particularly happy about.
That'll be very tough, because these parties are linked to these very places you're talking about.
Yes, they are, but at the same time, in my party, for example, we are working very feverishly to take this into consideration in the way that we are preparing ourselves for governance.
Let's talk about a leaked audio that made rounds on social media recently. Tell us the context of that audio.
First of all, I think it's very important to know that this is a privileged conversation. It should not have been out there. This was a conversation between two people. I believe we issued a press statement on the 6th of January dealing with that. And I think that we need to, quite frankly, move on. If you want to talk to me about the press statement, I'm happy to.
This was between you and Jagaban?
This wasn't between me and Jagaban. I was not talking to Jagaban in that statement. Again, as I say, I don't particularly want to comment on the leaked audio. I would prefer to comment on what was said in my statement, which I authorized to be issued out there, which I hope you.
But that audio didn't make you look good to the public.
The audio.
Though you've said it was meant to be a private conversation, which in itself, all the more reason why it becomes scary that, again, you were having that conversation comfortably, hoping it was meant to be a private conversation, and suddenly it leaked. First off, how did you think that made it to the public?
I don't know how it made itself to the public, but I think that I want to say clearly from the outset that the press statement dealt with aspects of that particular audio. I'm not prepared to talk about the audio in itself, but I want to here and now talk about the statement that I actually gave subsequent, to the release of that audio. I made it very, very clear that two things mainly. One, it is completely abhorrent to any reasonable individual, and I consider myself to be one of those. I also consider myself to be somebody who has actively promoted peace in our country at a time when people were worried about going 5 miles out of Freetown. I actually left my private practice in London to go to talk to people who were engaged in fighting in our country. And all my public life, I've been promoting peace and harmony. So spinning a particular audio for those who wanted to do that for political reasons is and was at the time abhorrent.
Who were you talking to in that audio? The sad thing is, the audio was meant to be private, as you said, but
yes,
unfortunately it's now in public domain, and the public have questions about it. And you are a man seeking to be flag bearer. There is no way that can be swept under the carpet. There are people who demand answers. There are people who don't know you, who by listening to that audio have a perception of who you are. For some of them, that's the first time they got to know about you hearing the audio. So again, that you want to become flag bearer, it's not a conversation we can sweep under the carpet.
Madam, as I've said to you before, I believe, the press statement, I think, dealt with the important aspects of that audio. One, I made it very clear in that statement that I abhor any violence. It's inconceivable that I would want to violently dispose of anybody. Inconceivable. Who in their right mind and for what reason would I want to go and attack anybody or deal with anybody?
You said those words.
No, I didn't. I didn't say that. I didn't say I was going to deal with. I was going to attack. No, excuse me. No, I didn't say that I was going to.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I didn't say that I was going to attack anybody. I didn't say I was going to kill anybody. I didn't say I was going to murder or maim anybody. My statement said that I didn't say that. I'm not going to talk about the audio because I don't believe.
Are you ashamed?
Excuse me?
Are you ashamed?
My position is very clear on it.
Is shame the reason why you would not want to talk about it?
No, it's not because of that. It's, in law, we have a maxim, ex turpi causa non actio oritur, which means out of a base cause, no action arises. That was a leaked audio. It should not have been there. If I go and start to comment on what was specifically said in that audio, for my part, I do not feel happy about doing that. It goes against my principles. And that is why I issued a statement. And that statement was very clear about my position. I made it clear in that statement, for example, that I abhor violence. I spoke about other aspects that came out in that statement. And by the way, I've since spoken to those that were mentioned in that particular audio. We're brothers, we're friends, they understand. One of them in a subsequent meeting was telling me, what don't we say about each other in private? So these things happen. It should not have been taken out of, put in the public domain. It should not have been spun as it was.
Do you blame the
of
person you
audios.
had the conversation with for the leaking of that audio?
Excuse me?
Do you blame the person you were having the conversation with for leaking that audio?
It would be unfair for us to assume that that was a person that leaked the audio.
So you're thinking there's someone else who leaked the audio?
I don't know. The point is that it shouldn't have been out there. It was a private and privileged conversation that should not have happened. And to allay the fears of the public, I went ahead and issued a statement where my position, I believe, was made very, very clear. And I should be looking at that statement to deal with the matter. I'm not going to talk to you about a leaked audio. If it was a public statement, I would have been very happy to defend it in terms of what might have been in that audio.
So do you think you owe the public an explanation to that audio?
I think I've given an explanation in my statement. I think it's clear. Maybe you should read it properly and you will see.
Just to be clear, Ambassador, this conversation is not just you and us, me and my co-presenter. This conversation is you giving accountability to the people within the APC you seek to vote you as flag bearer, to the people in the country you seek, if you become flag bearer, to vote you as president. These two human beings here are just a representation of the 8.6 million people of Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
It's not about us.
Yes.
It's about the public who have tons of questions concerning this, who probably some of them have not even seen your statements, but they've consumed the audio, who still have questions. So it's not about us. It's about you and the people through us, because you're in the studio.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that aspect. Let's put that aside quickly.
Yes. You know, again, to clarify the position, the audio was a private conversation. My statement made it very clear, and I've gone further to try to please you, to talk about how I feel. And I'm pleasing you by letting you know that Omrie Golley is a peaceful man. Omrie Golley is somebody who has been involved in the peace process for over 25 years of his life. I have sacrificed myself to bring peace and prosperity to my country. And as a result of that, it's inconceivable that I would want to cast or to do anything that is unlawful, illegal, unwarranted against my political opponents. That audio should not have been there. It was spun. Those who are my political detractors within the party and elsewhere did what they decided to do with it. But I'm here now, perfectly responsible for what I said, as evident in my personal statement.
Just so, before we move away from this audio, let me just share your thoughts of some of the people on our comment section on Facebook. Richard Gauja says, but the audio speaks for itself. Alimatu says, the audio is damning. Alimatu again says, well, the public find that video worrying. Bernie Abu says, you should not have said it in private if you are not proud to say it in public. Those are just, you know, a few reflections of what some of these people think about your audio.
Yes, I acknowledge their thoughts, but that doesn't detract from what I have said about it. I think that this audio is being taken very much out of context. I believe that my statement has clarified it, and I believe that reasonable, rightful thinking members of society generally would understand my position. I have had hundreds upon hundreds of calls. In fact, I would not even say hundreds, probably go into the early thousands, actually understanding my position, making it very clear after my statement that they understand exactly what was at stake and what happened, you know, what subsequently happened and the steps that I took to make my position very, very clear. And I feel that that is, I stand by those people, and I believe that those people form the majority of public opinion about this matter.
There's one thought on this that, you know, sounds a bit different from the others. Richard Gauja says maybe he is responsible for leaking it out for the spotlight he is getting now.
No. I mean, come on. I know who Richard Gauja is anyway. He would say that. As far as I'm concerned, I feel that my public and private service come out very clearly to my people, and I feel that those that are actually talking about this audio in the manner in which they're talking about it now are those who are potentially or possibly political detractors. I feel very confident in the responses that I have received from people who understand my position and who know me for what I am, which is a peaceful man who has worked very feverishly to bring peace and development to my country.
Were you alone when that conversation was being had?
This was an audio conversation, a leaked audio.
Were you alone? From your end, I mean.
I was on a plane, actually.
Okay.
Yes, I was on a plane. When I was talking to someone, or someone spoke to me, and I believe I responded. And that was what got leaked out. It should not have been. And I feel that what we should be talking about is the preponderance of audios that get leaked and spun. And people then use all sorts of photography, AI that's come into it to just twitch it and turn it around as to what they want. Our people are not fools. The actual ordinary, decent Sierra Leonean understands how these things work. And I believe that they form the majority, and they have comforted me in this particular matter. And I think that we should move forward. So much to be done here.
Do you think this should have led you to step down from your bid to become flag bearer?
Why should it? Absolutely not. Why should it? I believe that my public service people are egging me on to rise to the leadership of my party. I did it in 2023, and I'm continuing with that process today.
If you became president of Sierra Leone, we have a very big problem, our economy. Let's start there. How would you solve it?
First and foremost, I think that we should be looking at private investment. We should be looking at, like many other countries in Africa, a basis. For me, it's agriculture.
Agriculture?
Yes, I feel very strongly that from all the tests that we have brought in, for the work that we have been doing in agriculture, that this is going to be the basis of our turnaround if we do it properly. If we do it properly. If we had the technology to bring it to the fore, that would be the basis of our economic revival. There are other things that we need to do. Our government is very bloated at the moment, thousands upon thousands of appointments. I would not seek, as president of my country, to keep a government or to maintain a government where there were so many positions in so many appointments that take salaries and things like that. I would be looking at energizing our youth. We have a very vibrant youth, who are, most of whom are doing nothing at the moment, resulting in some of the horrible practices that we've come to recognize and we're trying to work with at the moment, which is Kush. These are things that are all part of the economic story that we would be attending and looking at.
Again, easier said than done.
Yes, but then, we start somewhere. In my particular case, what have I done? Which is probably what you might want to ask me in the agriculture field, which is to start training local farmers in technology to increase their yields. I set up agriculture centers, training centers in Makeni, in Bumuna, in Kedema, in Bo, other areas, to be able to train our people to be able to grow crops that are sustainable, and that could be used to not only eradicate hunger in our country, which is prevalent, but also to be able to start the process of eating our own food and exporting, which in itself has a knock-on effect and gives added value to our economic prospects.
If you failed to clinch the flag bearership ticket within the APC, what happens to Omrie Golley?
Omrie Golley continues to support the party, the APC party, as I've been doing since 1996. Omrie Golley will continue to do whatever he can to advance the lives of our people that I have been doing. And I'll still be out there rooting for Sierra Leone, rooting for my country, a country I love very much and the people I love so much.
Why APC? There are a lot of political parties in the country, and obviously APC and SLPP are the leading. But why APC, and perhaps not even the SLPP?
APC stands for the common man. APC stands for the grassroots of our society, our country. The bulk of our country are people that are struggling with their lives. APC stands for real democracy, democracy through the people. There are a lot of pluses for the APC party. I've been a member of the APC since 1996. I will die APC. I would not go to any other party because I believe that APC is a party of the people and the party that would win convincingly come 2028.
The APC itself has repeatedly said it's a grassroots party, and you alluded to that even in your January 6th press statement you issued. Being grassroots as it is, how strong do you think you are, even from that grassroots level? Because to be president, you obviously, first of all, need to get the ticket from the party to become flag bearer. The race itself is tough. Young, old, new in politics, old in politics, male, female, there's a lot of competition within the APC for flag bearer position.
Yes. I think first and foremost I could say that I haven't been, I'm not a newcomer to this game. In fact, I would say that I'm the oldest of all the flag bearer aspirants at this moment in time. And I would also say...
What do you mean oldest by age, experience?
Yes, by age, and possibly in terms of involvement in the party. I've been involved in the party since 1996. And I've also contested for the flag bearership of the party before. I contested in 2023, and out of 18 aspirants, I came fourth. And that was after 3 months, or in fact less than 3 months of my entering the race. So I believe that I'm well known in my party. I believe that I'm recognized as a strong stakeholder in my party. And I believe that that is what is going to move the process forward. And insofar as the grassroots are concerned, the grassroots know what I've done for them. They know of some of the development projects that I have put on the ground. For example, in Waterloo, only not more than 5-6 months ago, I had a vocational training skills center where our grassroots were being employed to do various vocational jobs. So it's practice and it's practical. I do not just talk, I act. Indeed, I act before I talk. And I believe that that is going to resonate with the grassroots in the weeks and months that lie ahead.
It's sort of difficult to be able to understand how you made a decision to be a member of the APC when you were with the RUF, and the RUF then overthrew the APC-led government. How did someone like you, who worked with the RUF that overthrew the APC government, end up being a member of the APC?
First of all, again, I'd like to make the position very, very clear. I was asked by the international community and also by international NGOs as a lawyer to go to the RUF to advocate for peace. There were a rebel group that were all over the country. In fact, by the time that I became their legal advisor and spokesman of the RUF, they had overrun over 70% of the country. And I was asked to help to bring them effectively from the bush to the negotiating table, which is what I did. As a Sierra Leonean who loved his country and loves his country, and as somebody who wanted to bring peace to his country. And most importantly, I think it's important for you to recognize that my political position as a supporter of the APC had nothing to do with it. I wanted peace. I wanted to bring peace to my country. I wanted to stop the fighting at a time where people were sitting at home and people who are now talking about Omrie Golley being a rebel and all of these kind of things. I was out there. I was out there in very, very difficult circumstances, dealing with a group that were known for what they were doing and had been doing. I was asked to go there. International best practice. Again, I mentioned a number of countries where precisely similar things have happened, where rebel governments, rebel commanders, ultimately became presidents of their country. You know, in Europe, we talk about Ireland, the Republic of Ireland. We know what happened in Ireland. Burundi, Angola, Mozambique, Liberia, Democratic Republic of Congo. All these countries had rebel groups where people were actually either sent in to join forces to bring the rebel parties onto the negotiating table. In our case, at the time I went in to talk to the RUF, nobody was going to talk to them. You know, everybody was scared to do it. But I wanted to do it because I wanted to bring peace to my country, and I did it.
As much as you contributed, you also had a run under the President Ahmed Tijan Kaba of blessed memory government. Mm-hmm. You were arrested. Mm-hmm. How did that come about? As much as you've painted your contribution, you know, during the rebel war, how did you now end up in that situation where President Ahmed Tijan Kaba had you arrested?
Politics. For whatever reason, they thought that I was a political threat to them. I was very popular because then, as I am now, for helping to bring peace. I wasn't a member of the SLPP government. They knew about my political position. In fact, I would go so far as to say I had been asked by President Kaba to come over to the SLPP side. He asked me to do that. I didn't.
Why?
Well, because he felt that probably I would be a very good asset to the SLPP post-war. I didn't. I never would be a member of the SLPP. I'm APC. I would die APC.
When did you become a member of the APC?
1996. It's there. The records are there. Go and check. So for me, peace was what I wanted to achieve. I was asked to go as a lawyer, Sierra Leonean lawyer, not a Tibetan lawyer or Mongolian lawyer, as somebody with roots in that country, to go to talk to my people, the RUF were Sierra Leoneans, to speak to them and help to bridge a process that would bring peace and tranquility. So some, you know, those detractors say, oh, Omrie Golley went to the bush, he's a rebel. You know, I've seen, you know, all the kind of stuff that people write out there in social media. It doesn't bother me. I know that the majority of my people know what I did. They know what I'm capable of doing.
Were you a rebel?
And that's why they respect me. That's why they respect me.
Were you a rebel?
Rebel? I'm somebody who believes very firmly in development and who would stand up for what he believes in. And if that is a rebel, then, you know, so you say it. But for me, I'm somebody who went out there to bring peace and to talk to the rebels, to bring peace and to help. And not only in respect of the RUF, but also in respect of the government rebels, you may want to call them, the Kamajors. I went to talk to them
At the time, did you believe you were a member of the RUF?
Well, why would I be a member of the RUF if I'm a lawyer with my private practice being asked to go to the bush to help to bring a group together, which they, by the way, had been having all sorts of difficulties in doing.
That's that popular. It's a general belief. People feel you were a rebel.
Well, how could I be? At the time I was in England, I can't be in two places at the same time. And more importantly, I'm a lawyer, and I was asked to go there. We need to get over this particular issue because I feel it's a very important issue. Mm-hmm. It's you know, people get just castigated. You know, our country is a country that's known for that. Pull him down, you know, say this, say that. Facts speak for themselves. And people, I believe, are very much understanding about the role that I take and I took at the time.
The last time you clinched the 4th position.
Yes.
Do you think you stand a better chance now?
Yes.
And why so?
Because of...
At a time when there are finer people in the party.
Finer? I don't believe that, you know...
You think you are the finest?
I told you at the beginning of this conversation that I respect everybody. I wouldn't want to say that I'm the finest, but what I would say that I'm right up there, not only in terms of my contribution to the party, but also in terms of the years of sacrifice to the party at a time when people did not want to associate themselves with the party.
Eternal popularity as well is quite important.
Yes.
Your party has just issued out the calendar of events for the elections leading to the delegates conference. Do you think you're that popular? within the people who will be voting for you?
Absolutely. I was in 2023. People did vote for me then. So people voted for me and I became 4th out of 18 candidates, some of whom had actually held senior positions within the party. Then why wouldn't I now?
Okay.
I intend to do much better, and I believe that I will win the flag bearership of the APC party.
Right.
Well, we're trying to round off this segment now. We obviously look forward to, we would be following the politics within the political parties as we prepare for 2028 elections. But as we round off, what would you say to those people who have doubts in you with, again, those who cannot even take off their minds what they heard in that leaked audio? Those who still are convinced that you were tied to the RAF much more than you're explaining now, what would you say to those people who still have trust issues, looking at you, not too sure that you could be a good fit for flag bearer and president of Sierra Leone?
Well, that's your own particular view, but for me, I believe that my people believe in me. I believe that I've shown my people over scores of years that my people are very dear to me and I love them. Those who know me or want to really know me, know me. Those who want to castigate me would castigate me regardless, like what happens to a lot of other politicians, a lot of other people in our country. We appear to be known for that. As far as the audio is concerned, let me make it again crystal, abundantly clear that I, Omrie Golley, am a peaceful man. There's no reason why I'd want to harm anyone, not Jagaban. He's my brother, we spoke. I've spoken to others involved in the audio. They understand that we've been discussing it, and it's gone. We're moving on. We have lower level elections to think about. So, I think that we should try to put this issue behind us because it's very, very important to do so. I would never harm anybody. I believe very, very strongly in advancing policies that bring peace to our country. And I believe I've shown people throughout the years that I've been I've been out there for them at a time when they needed to have a respite from the war and from the human degradations that actually came with it. And most importantly, as far as my party is concerned, they know that I've been out there for them. I'll give you an example. 1996, the government is in exile. The government has been overthrown by by the MPRC government at a time when people were fleeing away from them. And even when I was involved in the peace process, I was assisting the APC party to contest for elections in 2000, in the next run of elections, at a time when people were running away from the party. I contributed materially, I contributed psychologically to them at that time. So I've been out there for the party, and people know that, and it's an ineradicable fact. They know that I'm there, and they know that I'll always stand up for them. They know that I will pull shot for them, and I will be there to help the APC steer to governance come 2028.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Omrie Golley, for being with us this morning.
Thank you, madam.
Well, this is where we'll end today's edition of the program Wake Up Sierra Leone. Would say thanks to all our guests for being a part of the program. Thanks to you, our lovely audience, for tuning in and making contributions on our Facebook page. We'll do it again tomorrow. Have a lovely day, and we've been your presenters. I am Phoebe Sweel.
And I am Victor Jones. Goodbye. Have a nice day.